Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn. The United States has a new Veterans Affairs Secretary. It's a post that's been vacant since the end of March.
After the failed nomination of Dr. Ronnie Jackson, all eyes turn to acting head of the agency, Robert Wilkie, who receives a sweeping nomination across the Senate today.
That margin 86-9. However, Wilkie's nomination did come with its own share of surprises.
It was the first time since the VA secretary became a cabinet position that any senators voted against the nominee. The path to get to Wilkie's position has been filled with scandals and accusations. Montana Senior Senator Jon Tester spearheaded the allegations against former nominee Dr. Ronnie Jackson, saying he was unfit for the job and presented ethical compromises, including drinking while at work. But
both Senator Tester and Senator Steve Daines of Montana voted in favor of Wilkie's nomination.
Today, both senators released statements supporting Wilkie's nomination. Senator Tester says he plans to hold Wilkie to task. He says our job doesn't stop today. The Senate must always hold Mr. Wilkie accountable to the millions of American veterans he serves.
And Senator Daines echoed Tester's sentiments, but also expressed hope for expanded services. Quote, I look forward to working with him, especially on efforts to care for veterans in rural areas and realizing the benefits of service that embraces technological advances of recent years.
Now, the White House is now threatening to strip security clearances from 6 former Obama-era officials who have been highly critical of President Trump.
Mola Lenghi's at the White House with more on what would be an unprecedented move.
The 6 former national security officials in President Trump's crosshairs are former CIA Director John Brennan, former FBI Director James Comey, James Clapper, Michael Hayden, Susan Rice, and Andrew McCabe.
The president is exploring the mechanisms to remove security clearance because they've politicized and in some cases monetized their public service and security clearances.
Brennan recently blasted President Trump's performance in his summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
It's nothing short of treasonous.
I think anyone who's calling basically the president treasonous, which would require the death penalty, is someone that is over the top and not showing the proper judgment to still have access to classified information.
Former CIA directors and other top national security officials are typically allowed to keep their high-level security clearances for some period of time so they could advise their successors. Critics of the president say removing the clearances would set a bad precedent.
That is not what you see in a democracy. That is exactly what you see in authoritarian regimes.
Did somebody breach protocol in terms of classified material or break a law, then it would certainly be appropriate. If it's not, it certainly would look to be just a kind of political retribution.
On CNN, former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper called it a threat to the First Amendment.
Unswerving, uncompromising, complete loyalty to the president as a new criterion for having a clearance. That's a pretty chilling thing.
Mola Lenghi, CBS News, the White House.
Now, the spokesperson for ex-FBI Director McCabe says he does not currently have security clearance.
Brennan did not comment, and General Hayden said he does not attend classified briefings at the White House.
Well, plans now in place for Billings to welcome the Vice President of the United States.
Mike Pence will attend a private fundraiser for U.S. Senate hopeful Matt Rosendale tomorrow evening in Billings. Then it's on to an event for everyone on Wednesday morning. Q2's Zoe Zandora has more for us tonight on what's planned. Zoe.
Thanks, Jay and Jeanelle. This will be the Vice President's second trip to Billings. Last May, he attended a fundraising event for Congressman Greg Gianforte. Billings is again gearing up for his arrival and event, Tax Cuts to Put America First. The first signs of the preparation today showed up at Billings Logan Airport. That's where Pence's advance team landed and unloaded. Metro Park Pavilion will house the event, and as of tonight, free tickets are still available. Former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark will be the MC. The topic of conversation, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, signed into law and by President Donald Trump. That discussion will touch on how the act will impact Billings residents, the state of Montana, and the nation. Vice President Mike Pence is set to arrive in Air Force 2 in Billings tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. You must pre-register and print out a ticket to attend. And don't forget that your ticket and you need your ID. Doors open at 7:30 a.m. for the 9:30 a.m. event. Jay and Jeanelle.
All right. Thanks, Zoe.
Many people very much abuzz about the vice president's visit to Billings tomorrow. Second Lady Karen Pence will also be creating a buzz elsewhere.
Mrs. Pence will visit Larson Apiaries Incorporated in Billings, where about 4,000 hives are managed. Last year, a beehive was installed on the grounds of the vice president's residence in Washington, D.C., where about 60,000 bees now live. Pence says she's concerned about the damage being done to bee colonies across the country, and she's excited to meet those working to preserve them.
Mrs. Pence's visit to the apiary is not open to the public. We, though, will be there to bring you a look at the Second Lady's Billings bee visit coming up on Wednesday. Elsewhere tonight, 2 people killed in a crash in Rosebud County. It happened this afternoon east of Lame Deer on U.S. Highway 212. That crash occurring just after 4:30 this afternoon. Few details are known at this time, including how many vehicles were involved. Montana Highway Patrol Trooper Richard Drake says the investigation now has been turned over to the Bureau of Indian Affairs as this crash occurred on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation.
Raymond Dutch Hunthausen, the retired Archbishop of Seattle and Montana native, passed away at the age of 96 this weekend. One of America's more controversial bishops, Hunthausen was loved by many and rebuked for his public support of nuclear disarmament, gay rights, and expanding the roles for women within the church. Born in Anaconda, Hunthausen graduated from Carroll College with a degree in chemistry. He was ordained as a priest in 1946 and returned to Carroll to serve as a professor of chemistry, a coach, and eventually Carroll College president. Carroll's current president, John Seck, says Hunthausen's advice and legacy will live on through Carroll College.
He said, as president of the college, don't forget the students, and remember that every decision you make as president must be made for the benefit of the students.
Hunthausen served as the 6th bishop of the Helena Diocese and 2nd Archbishop for the Seattle Archdiocese before he retired in 1991. He was with family at his home in Helena when he passed.
Switching gears to the weather scene, Bob, we might be cooling down a bit this week, but still that fire danger is very real.
Well, you know, we had a very wet winter, very wet spring, and now we're starting to dry out. And we knew this was going to happen. Even though we're cooling down, the fire danger has increased, especially out in western Montana. Take a look at this. They're warming up again tomorrow. But basically, much of western Montana is going into the high to very high fire danger zone. Same thing's true here in the Billings area. Look at that in south central Montana, high to very high conditions. Same thing around Butte, Helena, and also up by Havre. It's just going to be very hot, very dry. Areas in green, that's where we have moderate. So also I wanted to point out we are now going up to high fire danger conditions across Yellowstone National Park. Our forecast is hot and dry again. We'll talk about that in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob.
Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, the bikes have gotten better, but the hill has gotten steeper. We look back on the great American hill climb.
Plus, what can $500,000 do for cutthroat trout in Yellowstone Park? Well, we'll take a look coming up.
And later in sports, a dramatic finish at today's USAM golf qualifier. Scott shows us who survives in a playoff.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.